It's a beautiful summer's day and I thought it'd be a lovely time to show you some of my favourite cottage garden flowers that are all blooming right now. These of course are wonderful daisies. They just pop up everywhere, they spread themselves far and wide, and I just love seeing them. They're so happy and sunny and pretty. This has got to be one of my absolute favourite cottage garden flowers. It's a Oriental Poppy called Royal Wedding. And I grew it from seed about 4 years ago. And the thing that happens is every year the plant gets stronger and sends out more and more of these beautiful flower stems. And the flowers themselves get larger and larger. So fantastic. And if you keep deadheading them now in the spring or early summer, then they could flower again in the autumn. And lupines are sort of a must in my cottage garden area. I just love them. I mean, there's something about how they grow wild up in Scandinavia. You always see them along the roadsides, well, really often anyhow, and on the little sort of mountain pass going up to my grandparents' house up in the north of Norway. They have loads of lupines growing along there, and I always just think of them when I see lupines. The thing with them is that they are very susceptible to snails and slugs, especially when the new growth is just coming up. Then the snails and slugs love to feast on them, and so I find that they don't, even though they're supposed to be perennial, they're supposed to be able to spread like weeds as well. I find that in my garden I have to grow them every year from seed, and they are biennial, so they will obviously take a year to grow and mature and be ready to flower. So I tend to grow some even now. I'll start on next year's plants, then overwinter them, and then hopefully by next year those new plants will be ready to flower. But this year, this one is one that I had planted last year, and it did come back, and there's even more flower heads down there. So that's really nice to see that it survived snails and slugs. I wonder why, but either way I'm really happy with that. These are peonies. They are called Shirley Temple, and they're just big fluffy fun pom-pom like peonies. They start off as these little fat buds, and you have to wait forever just watching them, and then finally they just spring out and there they are. So gorgeous. And every year as well they get more and more flower heads, which is really nice, flowering stems. Here's another one that's also just coming out now. It's got a little sort of, a bit of pink there to it too. Really pretty. And you probably can see I've got all these geraniums here. Hardy geraniums. They just pop up everywhere. They self-seed, and I really like the way they just sort of dance above all the other flowers, just filling out any spaces they can find. And this is another really pretty pink peony. I can't remember which one it's called, this one, but it's definitely a lovely pink one. And I do love rambling roses too. We've got white ones on one side and then these beautiful bright red ones on the other. I'm not sure if it's obvious, but this is a really purple rose, and it's so pretty. I think it's called Blue Moon. It's growing next to some purple clematis too, which is really nice. You can see this sort of rambling over this archway as you walk into that garden. And foxgloves are another really popular cottage garden flower. I do really love these. This one in particular, it's got a really sort of almost white colour to it. It's really pretty. Well, it's got a little bit of pink to it, but it's pretty much white. And I mean, I love the hot pink ones you get that just grow wild everywhere. but there's something about this one I really like. I want to get some seeds from it and just help spread them everywhere and get them everywhere, because they do self-seed and you just don't know where they're going to pop up, which is quite fun as well. Definitely a really pretty flower to have in a cottage garden. And the really good thing about them is that they are so hardy. They're not at all attractive to snails or slugs for some reason. They just leave them alone. So you don't have to worry about that, which is a big bonus compared to things like lupines and stuff. These ones just get left to themselves and they can just grow happily pretty much anywhere. They also like shaded areas if that's what you've got, which is really handy for me because I do have lots of shade in my garden. And here's another really pretty perennial, the perennial cornflower. I just think the color is amazing, and they tend to grow in a big bunch. They get really good impact, blue color. But one of the best things maybe about a cottage garden, apart from all the wonderful flowers, is you can mix lots of fruits into them too as well. It's part of the tradition, I think. And I just love having these apple trees sort of in the corner. This is a dessert one. It's a red devil apple tree with bright red apples. And they're so pretty. They're all sort of starting to develop now. Looking good. There's not as many as there were last year, and that could be because we've had quite a dry spell now. They need more water to develop, I think, properly, or else they also tend to have like one good year and one bad year. So sort of balance things out a bit. So I might not be needing to like pick off some of the apples. Sometimes you have to sort of thin the apples out, but I don't think that's going to be necessary this year. We shall see. And we've got some lovely Logan berries coming here. You can just see how hot it's been. They're getting completely fried in the sun, but hopefully they'll be okay. I'm trying to water them more as well. And the fruits are developing, so as long as I keep them a bit hydrated, they should be okay. They're really delicious. They're a mix between a blackberry and a raspberry, so they've got really great flavors. And no thorns, which is a blessing, such a blessing. And finally, here is a beautiful, one of my favorite roses. It's an old English tea rose. Has a wonderful scent and such beautiful coloring, I think. I took it as a cutting from our old house when we moved here, and I'm just so happy every time I see it come up every year. It's got lots of beautiful flower buds here. So I hope you enjoyed that. We've showed you a few things. There are of course so many more things to come, so many more things in the garden right now. But I just thought it was really fun to show you some of the pretty flowers growing right now.